Welcome back to the channel, where today we are going to go into the whole depression, recession, and why people are preparing for November 1st and all the things that build up to the scenario that we are in right now. People are facing actual fear of food shortages, an actual crisis, but we need to know where it began. So right off the bat, I'm just going to bring up my phone and I'm just going to go over SNAP benefits since 2019. So that everybody in here can have an actual real idea instead of just hearing a number and just thinking this is the number. I received a huge ban when I talked about recessions and inflation and how that teetering line can only go up for so long before it comes crashing down. We've been here. We have been dancing this line of constant inflation, not keeping up with the prices, the pay for the average income of a home, keeping up with the nonstop increase of prices and inflation. So before everybody decides that they're going to hate each other for X, Y, and Z, just listen to these numbers. You're going to be shook. All right, in 2019, 35.7 million people on SNAP. 2019. 2020, 39.85 million people on SNAP. In 2021, 41 million.6. 2022, I expected this because the world began to reopen up. You know, those mom and pop businesses were allowed to go back to work. Well, major corporations such as Walmart, which is where we're going to get, everybody wants to talk about what's happening on Walmart. And I've done some digging. I did some digging all night and all morning. And I've got some news on you guys. All right. 2022, when people were allowed to go back to work, the number came down a little bit, 41.2 million. All right. We started to come back down. 2023, it just said, nope, excuse me, absolutely not, because the inflation prices were so high. People don't realize that this inflation has been happening for a long time. So 2023, 42.17 million people on SNAP and EBT. 2024, 41.7 million people on SNAP. 2025, where we are currently right now, 42 million.40. So now that we have an idea of how many people were increasingly over the last 5 years, which I said in the last 5 years, we've been in a recession. 5 years has gone up. Now, the parts that we have to look at is 42 million people is 12% of our population. And a lot of people are out there wanting you to prepare for people pounding through your doors. Right now, I say button the hatches. Button the hatches. It's time to reel it in. I want you to prep. If you are on government assistance, I want you to prep. No matter who you are, I want you to prep, because the more people who are prepped, the less people who are knocking on our doorstep. Now, there is a rumor flying around that Walmart is going to be closing their doors. From what I have gathered, and I reached out to my local Walmarts and Walmarts in some of the Utah areas, a lot of it will only do SNAP business through drive-up pickup. But this is not, from everything I've checked out, it is not across the nation, but it is in certain areas. This is alarming. And why is that becoming alarming? Well, we talk about social media. There's people on the internet going, I'm going to come to your house if my benefits are not filled. It's a realistic part of prepping, guys. We hear it all the time. I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to come and get your supplies. It's one of the things we prep for. But I will never be the gatekeeper that says nobody can prep. I think everybody should prep, because for every person that we get into our circle, the prepping community is huge. It's one less person we got to worry about when SHTF happens. Will November 1st be one? I'm not sure. Today, I'm actually heading out to the stores because I'm going to restock some of my pantry essentials, because it is important to me. I use my rotational pantry, but I want to make sure I have things on hand. And I also want to get an idea of how many other people are out there prepping. Are we going to start seeing 2020 empty shelves again? Are we going to feel that consumerism burden that happens once those shelves empty? Americans are scared. There's a lot of Americans out there that are scared that if their benefits aren't there, what happens next? I don't blame them. As somebody who grew up in food scarcity, it is very alarming. This is a very large number. 12% of the population. Most of you guys only know a fraction of like 0.00125% of the population. 12% is a huge number. And it is something that could echo throughout the communities. What happens on November 1st? This government shutdown doesn't just affect this budget that needs to be approved or not approved. It affects people. It affects the way that they're going to be able to live and eat. A lot of people think that somebody on benefits is only freeloading into the system. Well, a lot of people don't realize some of these are retired, retirees, disabled. It's alarming to see how quick we will shift. That prepper mindset is just not as strong as once I thought it was. I didn't know we shifted so quickly. We turned people into the black sheep and we no longer want to be their friend. But I think there's room for everybody to prep. And I think it's extremely crucial for you to get out there and get your pantry staples. Because if we see empty shelves the same way that we saw in 2020 and 2021, this one's going to hurt. Why is that? The corporations don't want to lose their money. They're going to increase prices and you're going to pay tomorrow's prices. And yesterday's dollar is not going to cover it. We see the entire world is at shambles. We got gold is through the roof. And anybody else out there like suspecting that the government is floating the stock market right now? Because that is where my head is. Everyone's so worried about what the government's spending money on. But honestly, worldwide, I think that they are floating the stock market so it doesn't cause a crisis of the Great Depression. I think they are floating it. And that's why we see gold and silver at such astronomical prices right now. But unfortunately, this new style of depression won't be backed by gold currency. They've eliminated the dollar. We've gone down to a digital currency. Things are about to get really wild out there. And so if you are preparing, I would suggest that you really make sure that you go through your pantry. That's what I'm doing today. I'm going to be sitting down, going through things that I need to restock up on. I'm going to go hit the stores. Not out of fear, but out of I know tomorrow's dollar isn't today's dollar. And if this does happen, if it is true, and all these social media posts are not just clickbait and they're just kind of like an energy drink of just straight panic and fear mongering. But what if it's true? What if they do close the doors on November 1st? Nobody has a correct answer. I've asked my stores, I've gone around, I've done some inquiries, like, what if it's true? What if we are officially in the let them eat cake? The government's to blame. It's not the people. And I'm not saying pick a party, calm down. But you got people in there arguing that have never had to worry once about where their next meal came from. Job market, ooh, that one's a tough one. I mean, these are all things that we prep for on such a basic level. Job loss, natural disaster. I mean, you got Hurricane Melissa out there right now, I think it is. She's causing all kinds of havoc. Job loss, job insecurities, those simple things we prep for, they're happening in modern time. So right now, I would say I want to know, are you guys actually out there like going through your pantries, your inventory, like where am I missing something? What do I need to check off? Because November 1st, there is a huge possibility they're not going to be opening doors. There is a huge possibility. Now, the parts where I think that not all of the rumor is true is because SNAP benefits are actually released, I believe, on your last name of where it resides inside the alphabet. When I was a kid, I know our date was like the 12th. And luckily, I've been able to get off of that system. And I enjoy donating back, because if it wasn't for those kind-hearted people who did donate, I probably wouldn't be here with you today, or I would be a lot different than who I am right now. So I do believe in helping those who are willing to help themselves. I do believe that to my core. And is there people out there that abuse the system and give it a bad name? Yes. And are people actually facing severe fear of what could happen? Absolutely. Absolutely. I see this. I see it on a regular basis. I give eggs to people who have retired. They never expected, when the egg shortage of 2024 and 2025, of what the cost was going to be and how that was going to impact their retirement. They're on a set income. The thing a lot of people have forgotten about when it comes to prepping is community. And I really hope that you guys will take a few moments just to really dial back in and go, okay, so if the doors close, they start raising prices, how does that affect your family? How does that affect my family? How does that affect those who are hungry? Could this cause civil unrest? Could this cause the beating of a door? Those are the things we have to adjust to right now. Because each day, I'm just monitoring it, just seeing where this is going to lead. Could this be another new SHTF? It's right before the holidays. And when we're closer to the holidays, of course, I'm going to tell you right now, that's the time to get your pantry staples. That's when I get a year's supply of flour, a year's supply of sugar, a year's supply of different baking ingredients that I'm going to use throughout the entire year, because it's much cheaper. That's why I was making butter. For those who got mad about butter, I buy all my butter in November and December for the entire year. For the entire year, I am getting low. I know this year I have to increase. But this is all happening, and we got to start preparing for winter. And we are in unprecedented times. Are they just rumors, or are people really going to start busting through the doors? People are starting to threaten to go to people's homes. This is something we've prepared for. So as always, stay prepared, stay aware, and always have your head on a swivel. I'll catch you on the next one. Let's try to figure out if this is really going to happen.